Hello and welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining me for today's video. My name's Rebecca and I'm going to be talking about how to recognise hand-blown glass. Hand-blown glass will have features that make it different from pressed glass or machine-blown glass. So one of the ways to recognise hand-blown glass is a pontil mark. So a pontil mark is a scar on the base of the hand-blown glass where the rod is snapped off and it leaves a mark. It will leave an irregular or a circle-shaped mark on the base of the glass, and there are different types of pontil marks. A pontil mark will always mean that that piece of glass was hand-blown, and it's one way of identifying hand-blown glass. A pontil mark will be a good indicator that that glass is hand-blown. And there are different types of pontil marks, and the different types of pontil marks can identify the age of that piece of glass. Some pontil marks might have a sand pontil mark on the base. They might be rough, they might be smoothed out, they might have a star pontil. There's loads of different types of pontils. I have actually done a video on this, so if you are interested after watching this video, go and check out my channel. It is in the glass playlist and it tells you all about different types of pontils. So just as a quick example, this is a hand-blown piece of glass. And on the base it's been smoothed out, but you can see the mark from where the pontil has been snapped off. This has been smoothed out completely. We've also got a star pontil on this lead crystal drinking glass, and we've got the star pontil there. This is also another common pontil mark that you'll see. This is another completely smoothed out pontil on a lead crystal drinking glass. So this piece has been completely smoothed out as well. But if you are interested in pontils, I have got that video on my channel, so don't forget to check it out after you've watched this video. You can also recognise hand-blown glass with imperfections in that piece of glass. So hand-blown glass will reveal the craftsmanship that has gone into each single individual piece of glass. There will be imperfections in each piece of glass, and this shows the character of the glass, and it also shows the age of the glass. Hand-blown glass normally has small bubbles in the glass. This is different to a piece of glass with controlled bubbles in it. I'm going to show you some examples in a moment. Controlled bubbles are intended to be there. Bubbles in hand-blown glass are a part of the process and will not have a pattern to them. And as you can see with these pieces of glass that I'm showing you here, this glass here has some controlled bubbles in it. You can clearly see at the base of this piece of glass. If we move on to this piece of glass, you can see with this piece of glass here, there are bubbles in this piece of glass, but there's not a specific pattern to them. A hand-blown piece of glass might appear to have a different texture to a piece of glass that isn't hand-blown or a more modern piece of glass. And the texture will vary in different parts of the glass as well. Antique glass might have flecks of dirt in the glass itself. This happens during the glass making process. If there is a bit of dirt in the area or on the surface, it might end up in the glass. You can see this quite commonly in antique pieces of glass. Antique glass will also have striations in it. Please excuse the pronunciation of that. Striations are created in the glass making process, and this results in a ripple effect in the side of the glass. You can see this when you hold it up to the light as well. It can be a lot more obvious when the light shines through it. Hand-blown glass can also be recognised by the colour of the glass. Sometimes the colour of the glass can vary, especially with older pieces of glass. Glass blowers might use different glass to make different pieces of glass, so the glass might look slightly different in colour. This is more than likely to be found in antique glass, where no two pieces are going to be the same, and the two pieces might vary slightly in colour. I don't have any examples to show you specifically for antique glass, but if you do have two pieces of antique glass, they will look slightly different to each other. Another way to identify hand-blown glass is the glass will not have any seams on it. If you see any seams on glass, it will indicate that that glass was made in a mould rather than hand-blown. Machine-blown glass will have seams on it. Sometimes the seams are actually difficult to see if they have been smoothed out completely or if the manufacturer has blended them into the design. Hand blown glass won't have seams because the way it's made, there's no seams on it. So the way they make hand blown glass, they will have the molten glass, they'll blow it through a rod and they'll blow it that way. They're not blowing it into a machine, they're not blowing it into a press, so you won't see that seam. So this piece of hand blown glass here won't have any seams on it. It is lead crystal, it's been hand cut, but you won't see any seams on this at all. Sometimes they make these glasses in different parts. They'll make the bowl, they'll make the stem, and then they'll make the base. I'm not saying this has happened with this specific piece of glass, but sometimes you will find that and then they'll mould it on together after, but they'll still have a pontil mark. Again, another piece of hand blown glass. You won't see any seams on this because it has been hand blown, but a piece of moulded glass I will show you is this decanter here. Now this is a Spanish decanter, it's a mid-century decanter. I've taken the other pieces off for the purpose of this video, but you will see seams on this. I am going to show you in a bit more detail. So in this picture, you can clearly see the seam marks on this. This would indicate that although it might have been hand blown into a press, into a mould, it wasn't completely hand blown. So you can see the seams. They've not been smoothed out. However, like I say, there are pieces of glass where you'll find it difficult to actually find those seams. If you look at the base of this item as well, you can see the seams a little bit better. This item has been made in two parts. So you've got the spout and you've got the main body. So where I'm pointing now, you can see the spout of this item. This has been hand blown as one piece and moulded onto the main body of the item. As for this bit here, although it's got air bubbles in it, it has been pressed, it's been machine pressed into a mould to make it complete. Another way to identify hand blown glass is any other marks on the glass. So depending on when that item was hand blown, if it's a vintage piece of glass or if it's an antique piece of glass, there will be little telltale signs to indicate that it was hand blown. So for example, an antique piece of glass might have little impressions on the foot of the glass. This isn't an antique piece of glass. It was hand blown, but it's not antique, but you will get marks on the foot of the base here and here where a tool has been used to clip into the base of the foot and it to flip it over to finish the pontil off, to finish the base off. There will be little indents. You won't see them on here because they're not on here, but there'll be little indents on both sides of the glass. That's a way of identifying antique pieces of glass that's been hand blown. Not all antique pieces of glass are going to have this. It does depend how the glass is made and how the manufacturing process was used at that time. However, antique pieces of glass might have little bits of marks in them. They might have little flecks of dirt, and you can distinguish them from modern pieces of glass where this is hand blown here. I hope you liked today's video. If you did, please press the like button. And do consider subscribing if these videos are something you're interested in. I do have a video coming out every Monday at 8 PM and hopefully I will see you next Monday at 8 PM for my next video.